Dude, I was listening to the podcast you did with Sean because you're on the KIA list.
Yeah,
right?
I was on the KIA list. I was wondering why I wasn't getting mail. And so yeah, that was my
I can't
first.
even.
Yeah, that was my first deployment
Can't
to
even,
Iraq. Yeah,
and that was Fallujah,
yeah, that
right?
was Fallujah. Yeah, this first Sergeant Major Skiles. He was a sergeant
All
major.
right.
Got it. First Sergeant Skiles. And
Talk to me a little bit about Fallujah. I mean, I've read about it. I've had David Bellavia on the podcast. I heard the armies push through the city, but you see the videos of like Mad Dog and like the lead up like on the outskirts of Fallujah, but I can't even fathom what it was like being on the ground and like leading up to going to kick doors down and just being in an insane fight.
yeah, it was out of all my deployments, it was by far like the most terrifying, fucking scary. I've never been more scared in my life than I was there, like ever. None of my other deployments like ever came close to it. Maybe because I was young and 18, it was the first time I was exposed to it, but like the dynamics and violence that existed there was completely different. Like it was just so different because Iraq on day one was very CQB oriented. It was very like in your face, house to house. And then I transitioned to Afghanistan, which had very little aspects of that, but it had more standoff. Their tactics were different. And then going back to Iraq multiple times later, now it's like destroyed by ISIS, and now we're fighting ISIS. So it's still this different dynamics. It wasn't this like kind of like untouched asset, this untouched place, and it was super brutal, super violent. But yeah, it was the fucking craziest thing ever. Day one in the city, actually. Day one in the city. This is my helmet right here. I get fucking kissed right in the helmet. I was a point man on a sniper team, and we basically were told to like, hey, push in the city. Nothing's really happened. It's a couple pop shots here and there. Push into the city, establish an overwatch position, report back to higher headquarters. So that's what we did. That's what a sniper does. Eyes and ears of the battalion. So we pushed in. We occupied this 2-story building, set up comms and our position up there. And it's like right after prayer time, I spot these two guys across the street on this rooftop, and I relay it back to my team. And the next thing you know, like all hell breaks out. Now I'm in my very first gunfight. There's a few gunfight aspects prior to this, but now I'm actually directly engaged. These other previous ones, I'm like standing, holding 6 security, like this is boring. And, I want to shoot because like who the fuck wants to just stare at a doorway? But you understand the importance and the responsibility of staring at a doorway. And as a point man, that was my responsibility. And so at this point in time, I'm transitioning from another doorway to this window where I'm like observing, and my radio operator and I we're engaging across back and forth across the street. Well, I go to reload, and as soon as I come back from my reload, I poke out around the corner because I have to poke out to engage, and it's like instantly lights out. And I was like, fuck. Literally, I think in myself, like having this like out of body experience and seeing everything happen, like I think I probably said like fuck, like dude, I was just thinking about like all the life I didn't get to live, and like just what the like it was just like it's like driving down a road and some rando just honks his horn. You didn't expect it. It came out of nowhere, and before you know it, just you heard, and you're like, what just happened? That's how quick this whole environment, this situation, that's how quick the lights out were for me. And I come back to, and like we're still like in this like heavy fucking gunfight, and I'm like convulsing. I'm being kicked by my assistant team leader because he's like on the ground kicking me to like, he's like, we didn't see any blood. We thought you were dead. And like, I'm like, fuck. And I'm like crying. I'm like, what happened? And like, I'm just like kind of delusional, man. And we ended up kind of like low crawling out of this second floor house and get down to the bottom stairs. This house is kind of like under construction, and my radio operator and I were inside this bathroom, and he's trying to get communications up, and we're not clearly getting communications up in this like concrete ass place. And we start spotting these. I'm at point security because my 2 snipers on my team leader and my assistant team leader had a bolt action sniper rifle and a fucking Beretta. And then my radio operator and I, we had the M16 like fucking cannons, right? Like this is like 24-inch rifles, right? They're massive.
Just huge.
Oh yeah, like
Refrigerator.
yeah, fixed bayonets. When looking back on it, dude, going into like a broomstick like that is absolutely terrifying. You know, like so using a carbine is like so kind of comical compared to like what we're actually doing with like broomsticks. Like it was nuts. So I don't really like it when people complain about I need the 10 inch. I'm like, you just need to get better. You just need to get better because